Hello and welcome to this edition of 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili and thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Mr. Leggett, how are you?
Very well. How are you today?
Good. How's summer going?
It's going. It's been quite hot.
It's been hot, it's been rainy, and it's been busy in Montgomery County.
That's correct. Yeah.
Let's get started with human trafficking. Governor Hogan came to Montgomery County to announce a new anti-human trafficking innovation center. They're going to create a new position for a director, funding in $5 million for efforts. But he came to the county, and part of the press event that was joined with you, it was to highlight the successes of Montgomery County when it came to arresting and prosecuting human traffickers. Any funding for the county out of those $5 million?
Yeah, there will be some additional support for HHS, I think about $280,000 or so. In addition, we'll probably get some additional monies as it relates to some of the ongoing efforts of the governor. But let's go back and just take a step back. It is not a great deal of success to say that we are successful because we've had to arrest and to prosecute a number of people engaged in human trafficking. The ideal situation would be that it's not a problem, that people are abiding by the law, that we do not have the problem to have to arrest people to begin with. And hopefully we can provide such a deterrent, we can educate people well enough, we can spot it well enough that we don't get to the problem of having human trafficking in the first place. It is not successful to say that we are now arresting people and we will now put them in jail because there is a problem. Because A, you cannot arrest your way out of a situation like this. You have to prevent it from occurring in the first place. And so what we are trying to do is to stop it before it actually starts. Let people know that if you are engaged in this kind of activity in Montgomery County, we will arrest you and we will prosecute to the full extent of the law. That people are well educated to spot it, and that we have the cooperation from a variety of sources, the state's attorney, the police, our health and human services, the private sector, all of those working with us to preclude it from ever starting in the first place. But it's not a good sign to say we are successful because we've arrested so many people. It's a reflection that you have a big problem.
The Commission Against Human Trafficking here in Montgomery County was created, what, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago,
And
correct?
we changed it from a task force initially, that I had established the task force. You think of a task force as something that is generally temporary, but the committee concept, we made it a formal committee, an ongoing committee, because human trafficking is not something you do one time and you walk away from it and then you said, okay, we've solved the problem. You have to continue to educate, you have to continue to be vigilant, you have to continue to make certain that people are aware that we're going to prosecute you, and working together with all of those various elements of the county government. If you're not doing that on an ongoing basis, then you may get some temporary relief, but it will continue to rise and continue to have a problem. And if you look at Montgomery County, the state of Maryland, we're right in the middle of the I-95 corridor. So up and down the I-95 corridor, you have large numbers of people. We have comparatively a fairly wealthy community, and therefore people have the capacity to potentially pay for some of these services that human trafficking are offering. And so we are a target in many ways, but we want to make certain that we reduce and eliminate this problem so that we would not have to be one who's arresting so many people because we don't have the problem.
And would you say that it took the state quite a bit to emulate what Montgomery County has been doing?
Well, they've been doing some things on their own, but I think when you look at Montgomery County, the state is aware that we are aggressively engaged in trying to reduce and eliminate this problem. And the state has been doing some things as well, because we cannot simply, in an isolated vacuum from Montgomery County, eliminate all the challenges here, because this is a national problem, it's a state problem, and it's a local problem. So we all need to work together in order to resolve it.
Let's talk about National Night Out. It was the 35th anniversary annual event celebrated just a few days ago. Thousands of county residents came out to participate in about 40 events throughout the county in different communities. As it's been usual for you, you stopped in Olney first with Police Chief Tom Major. The governor once again joined you. He's visiting Montgomery County quite a lot lately. What did you hear back? What was the feedback from the residents, and also considering that this might be your official last
Well, it will be my official last.
Official last.
Yeah. But first of all, let me thank the Chief of Police, the State's Attorney, our Sheriff, Park and Planning Police, all our local police forces as well, who've joined in this national effort. And we have a tremendous response in Montgomery County. Well over 40 different communities in Montgomery County participate in this annual event. I've been doing this for the last 12 years. The Chief, the State's Attorney and I, we go around and visit as many of the locations as we can on this one night. Traditionally, we start at Only because that's the first stop for us. And this time the governor joined us along with a host of elected officials and community officials, really putting a spotlight on the need to work together with our law enforcement personnel, because if you're going to have a community policing, you have to have the community engaged and involved in it. And you need to set a tone so that our young people who are well educated, understand the challenges, and are willing to work and cooperate with the police, that you do not see them as some type of hindrance. You don't see them as a problem, but the police and all of those who work with the police are part of our community, and we need to see them in that light. So this is an opportunity for us to make sure that the community understand that we are taking criminal activities seriously, B, that the police here to work with you in all facets of our law enforcement, that there's a role for our citizens to play, and we want to join forces, because if we are not able to do that, we're not able to resolve the challenges. The community policing concept first starts with the community, and you need to understand that the police are part of the community. And once you extract that and you separate that to some degree, then it will only increase the potential for crime.
Since we're talking about police and community policing and so forth, recently the Montgomery County Police Department released the videotape, the footage of the police sworn camera related to the June 11th incident that involved a police officer from Montgomery County. Investigations were taking place from the State Attorney's Office in Howard County. Did you look at the video after it was released?
Yes, I saw the video actually before it was officially released. My heart goes out to the White family, and whenever you've had a loss of life, this is something that we should all ponder very seriously and think about. Whatever the cause, whatever the rationale, a loss of life is a loss of life, and there are victims, there are families, and there are other people, and so my heart goes out to them. And we could talk very extensively about what transpired in the process.
Okay, let's take a little break, Mr. Leggett, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. 101, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
If you think someone might be considering suicide or drugs, be the one to help them by taking these 5 steps. Ask, keep them safe, be there, help them connect, follow up. If you're struggling, call Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or the 24-hour crisis center at 240-777-4000. Be the one to help. Learn more at betheone.org.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. I'm Lorna Virgili. Mr. Leggett, before we went to the break, we were talking about the footage, the video that was released from the police warrant camera pertaining to the June 11th police-involved shooting in downtown Silver Spring. Something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, there was some confusion in the community about the failure to release the tape immediately. And I think our chief of police, who's doing an outstanding job, Tom Manger and his team, indicated very clearly that the process would be that the Howard County's state's attorney would do the investigation, that for evidentiary purposes, the video would not be released immediately until they finished their investigation. As soon as that would happen, as it transpired, then they would at least provide the video to the family. And once it's shown to the family, it goes to the general public. That's done for a variety of reasons, primarily evidentiary reason. And it took a little bit of time to get there, but it was about 5 or 6 weeks before we actually had the video release. Unfortunately, we had a loss of life. And we can ponder a variety of things, why this happened or why that happened, but the Howard County's attorney indicated very clearly, definitively, that there was no criminal liability, and they had looked at that very carefully. But even having said that, when you lose a life, you need to go back and to evaluate procedures. You need to look at what you could do better so you would not end up with a situation that we ended up with the death, and the police, in fact, doing that. So there's an ongoing internal investigation about the procedures and the conduct of our officers from an internal standpoint of view, not one in terms of criminal liability at this point in time. I know that there's some anxiety in the public, but keep in mind that our chief of police and everybody here want to make sure that we are doing the right thing for our community, right thing for the officers, right thing for the families involved, so that we can ensure that these kinds of incidents are investigated properly, that we get to justice where it is necessary in order to ensure integrity, transparency. All of those things are important, and we're going to abide by the rule of the law, processes, and if there's some things we need to do differently, obviously we will do those differently.
2 representatives from the police department officers were supposed to travel to the Carolinas and meet with family members. Did you speak to the family members?
I did not, have not at this point in time, and there's a variety of reasons. I won't talk about those legally at this point in time, but as to why I've not talked to them directly at this point. But we had 2 police officers from our department to go to meet with the family, to provide the video. And from what I understand, they decided they did not want to watch the video, but they talked generally about what had transpired. And so I'm going to respect the privacy of the family, and at some point in time, we will reach out to them a little less formal than that proceeding.
Recently, there was a police graduation session 66. These were recruits that have been in under training since the beginning of the year. You attended the ceremony. Tell us a little bit about it, how many graduated, and what's next for them.
I think we had 46 that graduated this time. That is police officers, sheriff, parking planning, and I think we had one from Gaithersburg City Police as well. What is unique about this occasion is when you go to a graduation, is the combination of a variety of things. An excellent recruitment, whereby we look in terms of a broader range of professionalism, services that people can provide for the county, great deal of diversity that you see in our classes. But more importantly, it's an opportunity for the families in the community to come out and to thank first the graduates, and for us to acknowledge and thank the families, because when you see a police officer today, it is a combination of training, skills, leadership, judgment, a great deal of upbringing and support by the families, because keep in mind, when a police officer leaves in the morning, or whatever time they leave for their assigned duties, there's no guarantee that they will come back. There are an awful lot of times when they're not able to make dinner at night, they're not able to make the kids' soccer game or the recital because of some emergency or some challenges that they have to deal with. So there's a sacrifice on the part of the family. And we thank the family at that time to say, your loved one is about to embark on this endeavor, and we know that it's going to be challenges to the family, but to continue to recognize that this is a family affair. And when you go to one of these graduations, it is really a family affair. The people are enthusiastic. They really come out and support the officers in making this transition. And I am delighted to see so many outstanding young men and women who've made this transition for us.
And that's it, they're hired.
Yeah, they're hired. But keep in mind, that when you hire a police officer, you've invested a great deal in the community, but you can never fully invest enough for the sacrifices and the services they're making. We can't pay them enough, we can't equip them enough, and we can't thank them enough for the work that they do each and every day.
Let's transition into a little bit into technology. County Council has scheduled a hearing for September 25th to deploy 5G small cell antennas in residential areas in the county. Where in the county, and is it just under 2,000 that investors want at this point to be installed? Is that correct?
Yes, that's now, but that number is likely to grow as the county continues to expand. We need to keep in mind what has happened. What has happened has been that there is an attempt to remove some level of local control. And we have one side have said, no antennas, place them in other locations, not in my community to some degree. And people come to that.
Which parts of town are those?
Well, that's all over, to be truthful. But especially in some of the newer areas where we buried underlying cables and such. And so now you have the technology to come and say, we need to put some type of pole in your community. People are concerned about what it looks like. Does it work with the character of the community? They're concerned about some safety challenges. The county want to make sure that we can balance all of those things in terms of the height, the setback, some issues of safety, making sure that our right-of-ways are protected. And so in order to do that, we believe very seriously that you need to continue to have some type of local input where the community can come out and go through a hearing process where we can evaluate the location, evaluate the style, the visuals of it, the setbacks that are necessary in order for us to place it within a community. If we don't do this on our own, there's a strong likelihood that you could have it preempted by the state or the federal government. And so I much rather have Montgomery County actively engaged in this process in order for us to balance all of those considerations in a way that our residents and our business will appreciate.
And we're talking about new poles, not utilizing utilities or county existing poles.
Basically new, but there may be some on olds because they transfer some of the old technology going forward.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about your legacy. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett.
At Montgomery Parks, it's time to play tag.
Oh, I'm on base.
What's base?
This.
Playgrounds are awesome, but make sure you remember to take a ride aboard a miniature train.
Do you think they'll let me drive? I mean conduct.
Bring a picnic lunch and enjoy a meal outdoors. And what better way to end your day than a ride on a classic carousel?
Dad wins the Triple Crown!
Montgomery Parks, it's all here.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? But there's only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC 311 is Montgomery County government's online telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett. Mr. Leggett, let's talk about your legacy. The big event at the Strathmore coming up on September 23rd, 4 p.m., free, open to the public, at least 2,000 people, and to fundraise for the ACES Scholarship Program. Is this your final legacy? Because everywhere you've been going, people have been defining your legacy, this and that and this other item. So,
well, keep in mind, I have not been a part of those things. I appreciate the accolades that people have provided, and I thank them very profusely for what they've said and what they've done, but those are not the kinds of things that really motivate me from a leadership perspective. The last thing that you mentioned in this endeavor was more important, providing scholarships for young people, those who in many ways probably could not go to college. And so for me, having an opportunity to raise monies for those who go into the Montgomery College, University of Maryland, and Shady Road, what motivates me is not so much about the legacy, the accolades, those kinds of things. That's less important. The real challenge here is, can we raise sufficient funds so that we can provide the resources for young people to continue their education or to go to school in the first place? That is something that has motivated me from the time that I struggled to get through college and to actually get in, to have access to it. And same thing for my wife. So it's less about the legacy, less about me per se, but more about the young people and what we can do to inspire them and to ensure that they get into college.
Since we're on the legacy topic, comes December 4th, is it? Mm-hmm. Your last day on the
right.
job. And you take a deep breath. What would you like your legacy to be?
Well, a combination of things. One, that when you look at the county today and you compare to where we were at the time that I started, and you evaluate the challenges that at the national and the state level, how we govern in some very difficult, challenging times. It's one thing to provide leadership when things are going well. That to me is not a sign of good leadership. A good leader is one who does things when things well under difficult circumstances and conditions. We faced head-on the worst recession since the Great Depression many years ago. We faced challenges that were unimaginable for our county, and we've come out of that very well. Still a AAA bond-rated county. We have over $500 million in financial reserves. We have built a whole legacy of accomplishments from schools, roads, bridges, county facilities. We've done all of those things, and we've maintained a level of integrity about how we've done those that I think should stand very well. That's a huge accomplishment. So look at the fact that we have now either provided, constructed in some way 77,000 affordable housing units in the county, 22,000 classroom seats for kids in our school system. There are a large number of things that we've done that I think are remarkable in the circumstances, but to do them under these circumstances is, I think, quite remarkable. The credit doesn't go necessarily to me. I have an outstanding team. Tim Firestein, the Chief Administrative Officer, all our department heads, the people who work on boards and commissions, the employees of Montgomery County who have worked, sacrificed over the years. Keep in mind some of the things that we did were pretty challenging. I eliminated 10% of the county's workforce. I reduced pay. I furloughed county employees. We reduced health and retirement benefits. All of those things, difficult, painful decisions that I had to make. Yet still, the workers of Montgomery County showed up to work every day. They worked harder with less pay and fewer colleagues to help them. And so when I say, you think about the county employees, those people have sacrificed and done a great deal to put us in the position that we're in today. They've done a tremendous job, from our fire and rescue, our police, the entire level of personnel, those in McGill, those in the unions. All of those people showed up to work. Less pay, fewer colleagues to help them, and delivered excellent service for this county. This is what allowed us to make the dent in the challenge that we faced during the Great Recession.
Recession survivor, that's it. Let's talk about Glen Echo Park and the fact that the county recently signed a 10-year agreement in order to take care of the operations of the park. What does it mean for the county, this added responsibility?
Well, we wanted the responsibility because, keep in mind, the county was doing a great deal of it itself, but there was a bureaucracy with the federal government that was so burdensome. There was a bureaucracy that did not allow us the flexibility to do some of the things that we thought needed to be done in a timely and cost-saving, efficient fashion. We wanted a new arrangement, and we ultimately got it so that we have greater control of our own destiny here. Chris Van Hollen, our senator, did a terrific job along with Senator Cardin and Raskin and others to make sure that we changed essentially the position of the federal government that essentially provided us with a very restrictive kind of memorandum to turn that around to give us something that was quite favorable for us. I remember some years ago when the federal government closed because the Glen Echo is in fact a federal facility, and people didn't realize that. Glen Echo was closed. And I went out before the cameras and said that I was going to open the park regardless of what the federal government said, and I was prepared to be arrested the following day. And fortunately for me,
we're not.
it opened.
It opened.
The federal closure ended. Yeah. But so I was able to go in and not be arrested as a result of trespassing. But we won't have to face those kinds of things anymore because it's now in the county management. Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last Maryland Association of Counties Summer Conference. You, once again, as official county executive for Montgomery County. What are some of your expectations? And this is a farewell of sorts.
Well, you have to keep in mind that Montgomery County does not operate in a vacuum. We're part of the great state of Maryland. We have a number of other counties in the city of Baltimore that we worked with on an ongoing basis. We have legislation and initiatives in Annapolis that affect Montgomery County, sometimes in a very negative way. And so we need to build the coalitions, and we need to understand the issues, best practices around the state, and to show and demonstrate that Montgomery County has a great deal to offer, and we have a great deal to learn from others. And so by being a part of MACO, being a part of this institution, it allows us to be a part of a great organization that is working on behalf of the entire state of Maryland. And ultimately, Montgomery County benefits as a result of our participation.
Just to wrap it up, County Cable Montgomery, Channel 6 and Channel 30, recently we won a Hometown Media Award. We've won several awards throughout the years, but we won a recent one, and I wanted you to congratulate the team. Some of them are here.
Thank you personally, and thank the entire team for the work that you do. It's an awesome responsibility because we know that most people get their news locally. And the issues that affect them, from what is happening on the local level, from the public service sector to all just kind of human interest stories that happen in and around the county. And so to provide that on an ongoing, consistent manner, I think is something to congratulate. So congratulate everyone who's made that possible.
Thank you, Mr. Leggett, for your support. And for you watching at home, any more information, do visit montgomerycountymd.gov. I'm Lorna Virgili, and thank you for watching.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
In Montgomery County, we have a goal to reduce waste and recycle 70% of all waste by 2020. By recycling and reducing waste, we save natural resources and make our community even better. So recycle at home, work, school, everywhere, and keep recycling going. For more information, call the Montgomery County, Maryland Division of Solid Waste Services at 311 or visit montgomerycountymd.gov/recycling.
Keep it going.
Recycle more now.
Swimming can be a great way to stay cool and beat the summer heat. Hi, I'm Gabe Albernaz, Director of the Montgomery County Recreation Department, and I'd like to ask you to be our partner in making this a safe summer. Drowning is a leading cause of accidental deaths in children, but drowning can be avoided. By following a few important rules, we can ensure that our children are safe at the pools. Regardless of swimming ability, children should never be unsupervised. Even with lifeguards, there is no substitution for adult supervision. Minimize distractions such as cell phones. Drowning can happen in minutes. If you have to leave the pool for any reason, you need to take your children with you. Inflatable swimming aids such as floaties and noodles are not life safety devices. Do not substitute these for supervision either. By working together, we can make sure we are all safe at the pool this summer.